Well, China has ordered coal miners to boost output as it grapples with a power crunch that has hit businesses and factories. Three major coal-producing provinces have reportedly pledged to increase production. Now, China's second-largest coal-producing region, Inner Mongolia, has told more than 70 mines to boost output by nearly 100 million tons. That's equivalent to nearly 3% of China's annual thermal coal consumption. Well, China's demand for electricity is soaring, particularly as winter approaches, but the pace of coal output has not kept up. At the same time, prices of other power-generating commodities like gas are hitting record highs. Now, Vandana Hari, founder of Vanda Insights, joins us live. Well, Vandana, will these orders to ramp up coal production help China tide through winter, and which sectors are likely to be worse hit?
Good evening, Liz. So looks like China is pulling out all the stops to ensure all the coal supplies that it needs, especially coming on to the winter high demand season. We have to keep in mind that while most of the world has been moving away from coal, coal is still the backbone of China's energy complex, accounting for nearly 67% or 57% of Chinese energy consumption. When it comes to the power sector in China, coal accounts for nearly 2/3 of all power generation in China. So not a surprise. And as you were just mentioning, China has also ended up in an energy crisis, a bit like Europe, because of a shortage of coal, which in turn is leading to a shortage of power supply. And it just cannot afford that. It can't afford not enough supply in the winter season for the households, even much less for factories. Manufacturing is still the backbone of China's economic activity. So, it's basically making sure that it at least taps enough of its domestic coal production capacity before it turns to imports, especially given how high the import costs are right now.
And zooming in on the point that you made, how will China's energy crunch affect the world, given that many parts are also battling a power shortage?
Yeah, so I'd probably like to make a distinction here between, for instance, the energy crisis with the epicenter in Europe with what's happening in China. So in Europe, it's mostly a natural gas shortage, which means Europe is mainly pulling in a lot of natural gas. Now, China is doing the same. China also has higher gas requirements for winter. But because China is drawing in more coal and given this week's developments, it's actually going to ramp up its own output. Hopefully, the ripple effect on coal prices internationally will be a little bit less now because of, if China is able to step up its own coal production. In recent days, we've also seen that China has started to bring in a lot of the Australian coal, which was sitting in bonded storage since last year because of the government's ban on coal imports from Australia. So, effectively, if this does work, if China is able to, its own mines are able to ramp up coal output, hopefully the ripple effect on the rest of the world, and especially a lot of the other Asian countries are also reliant quite a bit on coal for power generation. Hopefully, that impact will be a bit diminished.
And all this is happening in the lead up to COP26. How will the energy crisis impact the world's transition to cleaner energy?
Yeah, it's very interesting, isn't it? The timing of this energy crisis. It has really opened up the tension, the dichotomy, if you will, between countries. So this is not just about Europe or China, but countries globally pursuing energy transition. Not just that, but stepping up in doubling down on their net zero and environmental goals, while at the same time, perhaps neglecting the aspect of energy security. So I think it's important for all policymakers to keep in mind that while the transition towards cleaner energy does need to be accelerated, there are ways to use fossil fuels and conventional energy sources in a more environmentally friendly manner, with technology development. I think a lot of the governments have been de-emphasizing that. And I think that is very risky, because the world could run into more such problems in future. If your newer energy sources are not scalable or not affordable, not yet ready basically to take the place of oil and gas, but you have, at the same time, you've reduced your investment in oil and gas, and you just don't have enough of those sources. So it could end up being, one crisis after another. I think it's time for policymakers to, use this as a reality check.
Well, thanks for speaking with us, Vandana Hari, the founder of Vanda Insights.